Good morning, students. Today's topic is cancer. Okay, cancer, as you all know, it is the most dreaded disease which is affecting the whole globe. Okay, now if you look into what is actually cancer is, then we will see cancer is nothing but uncontrolled division or proliferation of cells without differentiation. If you look into the explanation, cancer is nothing but it's a kind of condition where in your cell or in your body uncontrolled division. Okay, generally you know the rate of cell division in your body. Your cell divides only when it is required. Okay, unwantedly your cells will not divide. Okay, only when it is required your cells will start dividing. Whereas when there is uncontrolled division of the cells or proliferation of cells without a differentiation, division and proliferation are the same terms. Okay, when the cell divides in a uncontrolled manner, that's what is called as proliferation. Proliferation is a common term used for increase in the number of cells or the cells multiplying in order to give rise to more number of cells. So division or proliferation are the same term. When cells present in your body undergoes uncontrolled division, generally every cell of our body divides in a controlled manner. When it is required, only then the cells will divide. Whereas if those cells are dividing in an uncontrolled manner, then, and here you see uncontrolled division of cells without a differentiation. Dividing is okay, but if the divided cells do not differentiate, differentiate is conversion of a cell from one type to another cell or modification of a cell from one type to another cell depending upon the body's need. Okay, for example, we have spoke about stem cells. Stem cells will develop into different types of cells. They don't have actually any kind of fate that I have to develop into this particular cell. So stem cells, what they do is, depending upon your body's requirement, they will be converted into certain types of cells. For example, your body requires fat cells, then the stem cell will get converted into fat cell. Your body requires RBC, the stem cell will be converted into RBC. Your body needs WBC, stem cells will be converted into WBC. Your body needs epithelial cells, the stem cells will give rise to epithelial tissue. Okay, so this is called as differentiation. One type of cell getting converted into another type of cell, or development of one type of cell from another type of cell is known as differentiation. Okay, there is a difference between division and differentiation. Division and proliferation are same. If you have to say, if you do not want to use this term, then we can just say uncontrolled division of cells without a differentiation. Imagine the stem cells are present in your bone marrow. They keep dividing and they produce more and more number of stem cells. Okay, but they do not differentiate, they are just dividing and they are increasing the number of stem cells. However, they are not developing into any of these. It's a waste, isn't it? So the stem cells will go, it will be a waste if they are not differentiating into different type of cells. So differentiating means a formation of one type of cell from another type of cell. So here stem cell is giving rise to epithelial cell. One cell is getting converted into another type of cell. Okay, if we have to take an example which we have already spoke about, I told you that a type of lymphocytes known as monocytes, they give rise to another type of cells known as macrophages. Okay, there is a type of WBC. sorry, I mentioned that it's a type of lymphocyte. No, the monocyte is a type of WBC. There are 5 types. Monocytes are one of the types of WBCs. Monocytes, they mature and they develop into macrophages. Otherwise, in other words, I can say monocytes are differentiating into macrophages. Okay, one cell is developing into another type of cell. Okay. Now, why? When stem cells will increase, will divide, and they will increase their number. As soon as they increase their number, they do not keep quiet. They will develop into different other types of cells. For example, fat cell, your WBC, RBC or epithelial, different cells. Okay, so dividing is okay, but only when the body requires it. If the body wants, any kind of, new cells, then the cells can divide and they can develop or they can differentiate into that particular cell. But when body doesn't require any kind of cell division or any kind of differentiation, then if your cells are dividing, that condition is known as cancer. Uncontrolled division of cells without a differentiation. Cells are keep on dividing, but they are not undergoing any kind of differentiation. For example, in your liver, your hepatic cells, the liver cells, without any reason, the cells will start dividing. They keep dividing. Okay, they'll divide more and more, but they will not differentiate into any cell because they don't have a purpose. They don't know why they are dividing. They're just dividing due to some reason. The reasons we will study later. Okay, such condition where your cells keep on dividing, when there is uncontrolled, you cannot control it, division without differentiation. That means I have already mentioned the liver cells are dividing, but they do not know why they are dividing and why, whether they will differentiate or not. Such condition is known as cancer. Now, the cells undergoing this uncontrolled cell division are known as cancer cells. Okay. Now, what are the characteristics of cancer cells? Why do we call them as cancer cells? And what are the characters of cancer cells? Here, if you see the first character of cancer cell, cells divide repeatedly without uncontrolled cell division. Sorry, it's not without. Cells divide repeatedly with uncontrolled cell division. Okay, that's what I explained now. I do not want to explain it again. Second, we will move on to the second character. Cancer cells do not require extracellular growth factor. Okay, now imagine there are few normal cells. Here I will be using two terms. One is normal cell, another one is cancer cell. Okay, normal cells are your normal cells which are not undergoing any kind of uncontrolled division. Now, imagine these are your normal cells. Surrounding to your normal cells, okay, these are your normal cells. Now, if your normal cells have to grow, they grow by itself. They do not require any extracellular growth factor. Extracellular means outside the cell. Extracellular is nothing but outside the cell. So, if there are any growth factors present outside the cell, these normal cells do not require them in order to grow. Okay, they will not take the extracellular growth factors for them to grow. Okay, the second character of cancer cell is that cancer cells do not require extracellular growth factor. Consider a normal cell of a normal person's body. My cells, imagine these are the cells of my body. I am a normal person. Okay, these are my normal cells. Now, if these normal cells have to grow, they require a kind of extra cellular growth factors. If my body cells or a normal cell, okay, which are not cancerous, if the normal cells have to grow, they require certain growth factor. Okay, the factors which helps in the growth of the cells. Extracellular, that means they are present outside the cell. Okay, if normal cells have to grow, they need some growth factors from outside the cells. Okay, the normal cells require extracellular growth factors. Only when these extracellular growth factors are available, the cells will grow and the cells will divide. Hope this is clear to you. When there are normal cells, these normal cells, in order to grow and divide, they seek for the extracellular growth factor. That means some growth factors which is present surrounding to the cell or outside the cell. Whereas if you see this, cancer cells do not require extracellular growth factors. That means cancer cells do not, depend upon any kind of extracellular growth factor. Whether the extracellular growth factor is present or absent, the cancer cells keep dividing. Okay, the cancer cells will keep dividing. Nobody can stop it, thinking that extracellular growth factors are not available, so the cancer cells will not divide more. That is wrong. Okay, because cancer cells will not require any extracellular growth factor, they just divide. Okay, whereas if the normal cells have to grow and divide, they require this extracellular growth factor. Only when these growth factors are available in sufficient amount, they grow and divide. Whereas cancer cells do not require them. If we move on to the next character, cancer cells do not have the property of contact inhibition. What is contact inhibition? Consider, let's extracellular growth factors are over. In case of normal cells, what happens is there is something called as contact inhibition. If you look into this term, contact inhibition is something where, imagine in a normal person's body, a normal cell is growing. Here there is one more cell, here there is one more cell. These cells will grow as long as far as it touches the neighboring cell. When it comes in contact with the neighboring cell. Okay, it grows only this much. Okay, like this. As soon as every cell comes in contact with that neighboring cell, they stop growing because they don't want to push or grow over the neighboring cell. This is known as contact inhibition. Okay, if I have to explain it still more in a clear way, then imagine here is a cell, here is a cell. Both the cells are growing. They are growing in size. They become larger, they become larger. Okay, still there is no actual physical contact between these two cells. Now they again grew little bigger. This also grew little bigger. They both are in contact now. These two cells are in contact now. Okay. Now both the cells will start growing. Okay. Both the cells will start growing because these cells are normal cells and they know if I grow further, it might disturb the next cell or I might push the next cell or I might grow over the next cell or my neighboring cell. So this is known as contact inhibition. Contact, when two cells come in contact. Inhibition means something which is stopping. right? Something which is getting stopped. So when two cells are growing, when they come in contact with each other, they know now I need to stop my growth. Okay, this is known as contact inhibition. You are inhibiting yourself when you come in contact with another cell. Whereas in case of cancer cells, they don't have the property of contact inhibition. That means, imagine these are cancer cells. Even though they come in contact with each other, they don't have contact inhibition. That means it doesn't have the sense that I have come in contact with the neighboring cell, now I should stop growing or stop dividing. What they start doing? They will start growing over one another. Okay? There is no proper way of growing. So they will start pushing each other and they will start growing on each other. They will start growing on each other's cell. That's the third character. I hope this is clear to you. Due to repeated cell division, cells form masses called tumors. Here I have drawn the cells. They are cancer cells. They have undergone uncontrolled cell division. They did not worry whether the neighbor cells are being affected. They have undergone continuous cell division. So they form a group or mass of cells known as tumor. Now, when there are multiple cells together, when there is uncontrolled cell division, this mass of cells is known as tumor. Okay? Due to repeated cell division, the cells will form masses called as tumors. Now, cells pass out from tumor to new regions forming secondary tumor. When the tumor is produced in a person for the first time in one locality, that can be called as primary tumor. Imagine a person has developed tumor in stomach. Okay, his stomach cell starts dividing in an uncontrolled manner. Okay, they lost contact inhibition. They started growing over each other and they formed this mass of cells known as tumor. Okay, this tumor was initially found in the stomach. So this tumor can be called as primary tumor. Now what happens is, the cells, few cells from this tumor, we'll take one or two cells from this tumor, they will come out of this tumor, they will go to new location, maybe your liver. Okay, few cells will come out of this tumor, they will go to new location. Okay, if we can take the example of liver. These two cells go to liver and they will start uncontrolled cell division in the liver. So your liver also develops tumor. So this tumor can be called as secondary tumor. When the cells pass out from tumor to new regions forming secondary tumor. The cells pass out from tumor, from this tumor to new regions forming secondary tumor. Next, invasion of cancerous cells from one part to other part of the body through body fluid is known as metastasis. This process I told you, the cells will come out of the stomach, it will go to liver. This process or invasion, okay, invasion is when we just invade any place without somebody's permission. Okay, just few students, they enter the class without the permission of the teacher. So that's just called as invade. Without taking permission of this new region, few cells come out of one tumor place. They come out of that tumor, one region. They will move to the other region. This is known as metastasis. Now how they come? Through body fluid. Body fluid, when I say, it could be blood or it could be lymph. Okay, so how they transfer? If the tumor cells have to come from stomach to liver without the help of a fluid or without the help of a medium, it cannot come. That medium, it could be blood or it could be lymph. So this is the character of cancer cells. This question is very important. What is metastasis? Metastasis is invasion. Invasion is just when you rush into some place without somebody's permission. Invasion of cancerous cells from one part to other part of the body. When the cancer cells, they invade from one part to other part of the body through body fluid, it is known as metastasis. I hope all the characters of cancer cells are clear to you. Now let's look into, let's study more about tumors. I have told you, uncontrolled cell division will form a mass of cells known as tumor. We will study which are the different types of tumor and what are their properties. Types of tumor. Okay, we know when there is uncontrolled cell division, it leads to the formation of mass of cells, which is known as tumor. Tumors are of two types. The first one is benign tumor and the second one is malignant tumor. Okay, benign tumor and malignant tumors are the two different types of tumors. Now, what are the differences between benign and malignant tumors? We will study one by one. If we see the first one, they do not show metastasis and is non-invasive. Okay, I have already discussed what is metastasis. Metastasis is when you have a tumor, few cells from this tumor, they come out of the primary tumor, they go to a new area, that means they invade the new area and causes the secondary tumor there. Such property is not exhibited by benign tumor. So, the cells from this tumor do not come out, they do not go to a new place and cause a secondary tumor. Okay, so there is no metastasis, no invasion in case of benign tumor. Whereas if you look into malignant tumor, it shows metastasis and invade other parts of the body. So the cells belonging to this malignant tumor, they come out, they go to a new place, they develop one more, a new tumor in the new body part. Okay, so they show metastasis and also they show invasion. Next difference is it stops growth after a certain age, size. Okay, that means they are growing, these tumors are growing. If they attain a particular size, it will stop growing. Whereas if you look into malignant tumor, it shows indefinite growth. That means even though it has reached a particular size, it will not stop, it will keep growing. Next difference is limited adherence between cells of tumor. Now imagine this is a tumor. Adherence. Adherence is sticking with each other. Okay, how far the cells in the tumor are stuck to each other or attached. Adherence, we can also call it as attachment. So here you see limited adherence between cells of tumor. Here imagine this is a tumor, this is a benign tumor. These are cells. Of the tumor. In between the cells in this tumor, in between every cell, there is a little amount of adherence or attachment. Okay, that means the cells, all the cells belonging to this tumor, they are adhering to each other in a limited way. Okay, in a limited fashion, or they are attached to each other. We can say in a very, very limited adherence. Still there is adherence. Okay, here if you see there is no adherence. That means even though it is a tumor, malignant tumor, you will feel that the cells are together because you will find them in a tumor, but all all the cells are not attached to each other. Okay, all the cells are separate. They are not adhering to each other, or they are not attached to each other. They are not stuck to each other. Okay, so there is no adhesion at all. Here in case of benign tumor, in the tumor, the cells are little stuck to each other. That means they are attached to each other, in a limited way. Whereas in malignant, even though all the cells, they constitute a tumor, but all the cells are separate and they are not adhering to or attached to each other. That is the reason cells can slip past one another. Cells here, if you see, you can just find the cells moving here and there within the tumor, because no cell is adhered to each other. So you can find the cells moving here there. They will just slip past one another. The next difference is it is less fatal to the body. Okay, here you see why they are less fatal. Fatal means dangerous. They are less dangerous to the body when compared to malignant tumor, which is more fatal. Okay, this is a advanced level of cancer, and this is the basic version, we can say. It is less fatal to the body. Why it is less fatal? Here you can see this. They do not pass to different part of your body. If the tumor is formed in one place, it will stick on to that particular place. And the cells also, they are adhered to one another, so the cells will not slip and it will not go to the other places. So there is no threat of causing a secondary tumor. So this is less fatal. Here the cells are completely loose. Okay, they are fully loose. They can slip whenever they want, and they can go to a new area and cause one more cancer, one more tumor. So this is very fatal or dangerous to our body. Next difference is cells do not compete for nutrition. Now here in benign tumor, here you can see the cells together. Okay, now this is a tumor. Okay, now surrounding to this tumor, imagine there are some normal cells also which has this contact inhibition. Okay, this part is the part having tumor, and these are the normal cells. In case of benign tumor, these tumor cells or cancer cells, they do not fight with the normal cells for any kind of nutrition. Whereas in case of malignant tumor, the tumor cells, imagine this is the whole tumor. Surrounding to the tumor, we have certain normal cells also. These tumor cells or cancer cells will fight with these normal cells to get the nutrition. Okay, so that is also a difference. Here the tumor cells do not compete with the normal cell for nutrition. Here the cells will compete with normal cells for nutrition. Last is, generally it is a non-cancerous tumor. Okay, even though it is classified as a type of tumor, it is referred as non-cancerous tumor. Why we call it as non-cancerous tumor? Cancer means it has to keep on dividing. There is no end for the cell division. But here I have mentioned it stops growth after a certain size. Okay, so that is the reason we can consider this tumor as non-cancerous tumor, whereas this is a cancerous tumor. So the most serious form of tumor is malignant tumor when compared to benign tumor. People with benign tumor can be cured very easily, whereas people with malignant tumor, if you are removing the tumor from one area of the body, after few days or after some time, the tumor might arise in some other part of the body. You remove it from there, because the cells will slip past and it will go and invade other organs of your body. So that is the reason it is very difficult to control malignant tumor when compared to benign tumor. So these are the differences between these two types of tumor. Next we will see the causes of cancer. Okay, what is causing this cancer. The next topic is causes of cancer. How the cancer is caused. There are different agents who will cause cancer. First one is physical agent, the second one is chemical agent, and the third one is known as biological agent. These three agents have the capacity to cause cancer. All these three agents which have the capacity to cause cancer or the agents which have the capacity to convert a normal cell into a cancerous cell are known as carcinogens. Okay, the agents which have the capacity to cause cancer are known as carcinogens. Otherwise, we can say the agents which have the capacity to convert a normal cell into a cancerous cell is known as carcinogens. Now, there are three different agents I have mentioned. You can call them as physical carcinogen, chemical carcinogen or biological carcinogen. Here I have mentioned in the same way. So let's look into which are the different physical carcinogens. Physical carcinogens, if you see, there are two different types of physical carcinogen. One is ionizing radiation. The second one is non-ionizing radiation. Ionizing radiation, when we see, X-rays and gamma rays are the different types of ionizing radiation. We can consider UV rays under non-ionizing radiation. All these radiation, when they fall on your body, what they do is they cause DNA damage. Okay, all these radiations, when they fall on your body, what they do is they cause DNA damage. They ultimately damage your DNA. When they damage your DNA, ultimate result is neoplastic transformation. Neoplastic means new formation. New formation, when I say transformation is nothing but change from one type to another type is known as transformation. Neoplastic means new formation. Something is formed newly. Here, what is being formed newly? New cancerous cells are being formed. Right? So that is the reason we say neoplastic. Normal cell is getting converted into new type of cell. New type of cancer cell. So they are known as neoplastic transformation. So these are the physical agents which have the capacity to cause cancer. Ionizing radiation and non-ionizing radiation. Under ionizing you can say X-ray and gamma. Under non-ionizing radiation we know it is generally UV rays. If it falls on our body, it is going to cause a DNA damage and ultimately it will result in cancer or a neoplastic transformation. The second type of the carcinogens are chemical carcinogens. Example, aniline dye, N-nitrosodimethylamine, benzopyrene, cigarette smoke. All these chemicals have the capacity to cause cancer in a human's body. Biological carcinogen. Okay, if we ask a question, are there any biological agents which also can cause cancer? Yes, there are viruses called as oncogenic virus. Okay, this virus have oncogenes in their body. Okay, these viruses, they have a set of special genes known as oncogenes. Onco is the term always connected with your cancer. So there are viruses known as there are genes known as oncogenes in the body of a virus known as oncogenic virus. If this oncogenic virus attacks a person, then he might develop cancer. Okay, these viruses have the capacity to develop cancer. So these are the different agents which have they have the capacity to cause cancer. Physical, chemical and biological agents. So here we will study which are the different types of cancers. Here I have written 4 different types of cancer. The first type of cancer is carcinoma. Carcinoma is the cancer of epithelial tissue. You know what are epithelial tissue and where are they present. If generally we can give an example of skin cancer for carcinoma. Okay, wherever epithelial tissue is lining your body. So if cancer is affecting that particular tissue, it is known as carcinoma. Next type of cancer is melanoma. Melanoma is cancer of melanocytes. Melanocytes are the cells which is present in your skin which produces melanin. Okay, the melanin producing cell present in your skin are known as melanocytes. If cancer affects these melanocytes, then such type of cancer is known as melanoma. The next type of cancer is sarcoma. Sarcoma is the cancer of mesodermal tissue. Okay, cancer of mesodermal tissue. The tissue originated from your mesoderm. Example, muscle, your bone, nerve, tendons. Okay, when cancer affects these parts of your body, they are known as sarcoma. Okay, generally cancer of mesodermal tissue is known as sarcoma. Here you see, if there is muscle cancer, bone cancer and there is cancer affecting your nerve cells and the cancer affecting your tendons. Tendon is a tissue which connects your muscle with the bone. Okay, so when cancer happens in these areas, they are known as sarcoma. The last type is leukemia and lymphoma. The name itself indicates leukemia and lymphoma, something to do with your blood cells. So cancer of hematopoietic cells. Okay, the cancer of hematopoietic cells is known as leukemia and lymphoma. What are hematopoietic cells? Hematopoietic cells are nothing but stem cells which is present in your bone marrow. They are type of stem cells which is going to give rise to your blood cells like RBCs and WBCs. Okay, hematopoietic cells are the cells, hemato, something to do with your blood, heme. Okay, hematopoietic cells are the cells which are going to produce RBCs and WBCs in your body. Okay, if cancer affects these hematopoietic cells, such type of cancer can be known as leukemia and lymphoma. Okay, the cancer of hematopoietic cells, you should know what are hematopoietic cells. They are the stem cells which will produce your blood cells. So these are the 4 different types of cancer: carcinoma, melanoma, sarcoma and leukemia and lymphoma. This is also a very important part. Next topic is how to detect or diagnose cancer. The first step in detecting and diagnosing cancer is blood and bone marrow test. Okay, so in blood and bone marrow test, what is done is sample of blood and sample of bone marrow is taken from the person who has gone to the doctor with some kind of symptoms. Doctor will look into the symptoms and he will suggest a blood test or a bone marrow test so that the number of cells in the blood and bone marrow can be counted. Okay, so there is a threshold level, right? There is a normal level of blood cells or the your bone marrow cells which has to be present. But if in the test, if the the level of blood cells or the number of blood cells is more than what is expected or what is considered as a normal level, then the person will be diagnosed with cancer. Okay, so that indicates that there is something, there is some problem with the person and the cells are dividing more and more in this person's body. so he might have cancer. Okay, so that's how the doctors conclude by doing a blood and bone marrow test. It is done for detecting increased cell counts in the case of leukemia. Okay, this happens when it is leukemia. Okay, leukemia, as I have mentioned, it is a cancer of hematopoietic cells. The hematopoietic cells are the cells which will produce RBCs and WBCs. If there is increase in the number of hematopoietic cells, because when hematopoietic cells, when it becomes cancerous, it undergoes uncontrolled cell division. So when there is uncontrolled cell division, the number of hematopoietic cells will be very high. Okay, so when you do a blood test and bone marrow test, you can make out, whether the number of hematopoietic cells have increased. That's how we conclude that the person will be having cancer. The second type of cancer detection or diagnosis technique is biopsy. Biopsy, here itself you can see, if a person has gone to a doctor with some kind of pain or with some kind of symptoms in particular part of his body, then the doctor will ask them to go for a biopsy. Biopsy is a piece of the suspected tissue will be taken from the person, and it will be cut into thin sections, and it will be stained and examined under microscope. If a person has gone to the doctor with severe stomach pain, the doctor will sense that there is some organs in his abdomen has some problem. So the doctor will suggest a biopsy. Biopsy is usually done after using X-rays, detecting some symptoms of cancer using X-rays or MRI, which I will be dealing next. Once they have detected, what the doctor will suggest. The doctor will suggest a biopsy. In biopsy, what is done is a small piece of tissue from that person's infected area will be taken. It will be cut into very thin sections, like how we take sections in the lab. Then it will be stained. We will add some color so that we can see the cells and the pathogen properly. Then it will be observed under microscope. Okay. So by that way, that is called as histopathological studies. Okay, it is dealing with your tissue. Okay, any pathogens entering your body tissue. So that is the reason we call them as histopathological studies. It will be done by a pathologist. Pathologist will observe under microscope. He will see if there are any changes happening in the person's tissue. Then the next type of cancer detection is radiography. Radiography is nothing but use of X-rays to detect cancer of internal organs. Okay, if a person has gone to the doctor with some kind of pain or some kind of symptoms, as I mentioned previously, the doctor will just as an initial step, the doctor will suggest a X-ray. So in the X-ray, if they are detecting any type of cancer, then they will go for the next level of treatment diagnostic step known as biopsy. Here X-rays will be used to detect cancer of internal organs. X-ray can scan your whole body. So it will detect the cancer of internal organs. And the next step is using MRI. MRI means magnetic resonance imaging. What does MRI do? It is a magnetic. Here I have mentioned MRI. Then I will explain it in detail. So we use X-rays and MRI in order to detect the cancer. So here also MRI is also very useful to detect cancer of the internal organs. If there are any symptoms appearing on a body, for example skin cancer, it will be evident on the body. If there is any tumor appearing outside the body, then it is the person can easily detect, then the doctor will be able to identify it fast. So directly biopsy can be done. If there are cancer in your organs or internal organs, then it will not be visible directly. So X-ray and MRI are suggested in such cases where we have to detect cancer in your internal organs. Then the next step is computed tomography. It is generally referred as CT scan. Okay, what this computed tomography does is it uses X-ray to generate a three-dimensional image of the internal organs of your body. Okay, so in CT scan what is done is X-rays itself used by here, but here very X-rays we will not do a 3D imaging or 3-dimensional imaging. However, in CT scan we are taking a 3-dimensional image of internal organ of a person. Okay, if a person is going to the doctor with the symptoms of cancer, then the doctor will suggest X-ray. Then in the X-ray, if it is not clearly shown, then or mild symptoms of cancer is shown, if there is little visibility, they will go for computed tomography, which is known as CT scan. In this, X-rays itself are used, but here a 3-dimensional image of that particular organ will be taken. Okay, a 3-dimensional image is a 3D image of the internal organs. Like you can see a particular organ from 3 dimensions, so that it will be more clear. The next is MRI. MRI, as I have mentioned, it's a magnetic resonance imaging. What happens in magnetic resonance imaging or MRI? MRI uses strong magnetic fields and non-ionizing radiations. Non-ionizing radiations, I will explain. Radiations like UV rays, the microwaves, the radio waves, all these are generally referred as non-ionizing radiations. So we use such type of non-ionizing radiations along with strong magnetic fields in order to accurately detect the pathological and physiological changes in the living tissue. If there are any changes happening in a person's body tissue, okay, pathological means if there is any pathogen has infected the person's body, or any physiological changes, if there is any change in the physiology of a particular physiology of the particular organ or a particular tissue, we use this magnetic resonance imaging. Here we use strong magnetic fields as well as non-ionizing radiations to detect any pathogen, also if there is any physiological changes in the living tissue of that particular person. The last step in order to detect and diagnose cancer is using monoclonal antibodies. Okay, monoclonal antibodies are the artificially made antibodies where we store it in the pathological labs. So what are monoclonal antibodies actually? Now if you know there is a particular antigen causing this particular disease, and when this antigen enters your body is going to produce one type of antibody. You are aware of this. Okay, when when this science is so developed, now we know if a particular antigen X is entering your body will produce an antibody which will be specific for that particular antigen. So similar way, we know there are, we consider, here I have mentioned antigens. Okay, here also we know that if a particular cancerous, for example, we can take an example of oncovirus. Oncovirus will be considered as an antigen. If oncovirus enters your body, you have already studied that if this oncovirus is entering your body is going to release an antibody, a specific antibody. This antibody will be prepared by you artificially and it will be kept in the laboratory. If a person comes with a symptom of any type of cancer, if you want to know it is a cancer developed by oncovirus, then what you will do, you will take this person's blood sample, okay, any tissue sample. If the tissue sample has been infected with oncovirus, that means the tissue is having that particular antigen. If you add these ready-made antibodies to this tissue, and if there is a color change or some kind of reaction happening between this antigen and antibody, you will conclude that this antigen is present in this particular antibody, otherwise this antibody wouldn't have reacted. Okay, if there is an antigen present in your body, if you had that oncovirus in your body, only then these ready-made antibodies will act against this antigen. There is an antigen-antibody reaction. If you go to a doctor saying that you are having cancer, if the doctor thinks you are having a cancer because of oncovirus, then if you are not infected by oncovirus, that is a symptom of some other disease, the doctor will take your tissue, put that antibody. But your body, your blood sample or tissue sample that taken from your body does not have this oncovirus. So there is no antigen-antibody reaction, there is no color change or whatever physical appearance, physical changes in the antigen-antibody reaction. Such cases, the test will be negative. Okay, this is the same procedure used in AIDS also in case of conducting ELISA, enzyme-linked immunosorbent assay. There also antigen-antibody reaction is taken into consideration, where ready-made antibodies for this HIV, human immunovirus, has been already prepared by us. If a person is going with a complaint stating he might be having AIDS, then blood sample will be taken. If the person is having HIV in his blood, then that HIV will react with the ready-made antibodies which is made specifically for that particular antigen. Then the reaction will be positive. If the person is not having AIDS, he is just thinking that he might be having infection with his HIV. Okay, there is no HIV in his blood. The antibody-antigen reaction will not take place. Okay, there is no color change in the reaction. Then the test is negative. Okay, here also similar way, monoclonal antibodies are ready-made antibodies which will be made against cancer-specific antigens. They are also used for detection of certain cancers. Ready-made antibodies you use when a cancer-causing antigen, cancer-specific antigen, if it is present in the body, then this antigen will react with this antibody, so we can detect whether the person is having cancer or not. So these are the different cancer detection and diagnostic methods. First is bone and blood and bone marrow test. Second one is biopsy. Third is radiography. Fourth is computed tomography. Next is MRI, magnetic resonance imaging. The next is monoclonal antibodies. Okay, so this is all about cancer detection and diagnosis. We can move on to the last topic of this, of cancer, which is treatment of cancer. How do we treat if a person is diagnosed with cancer? The first treatment is surgery. The tumors are removed with the help of surgery. The doctor will conduct a surgery, he will take off the tumor. That is the first treatment for cancer. Second is radiation therapy. In radiotherapy, tumor cells are irradiated lethally, taking proper care of the normal tissue surrounding the tumor mass. Radiation therapy is nothing but nowadays they are using laser treatment. Okay. If a person is complaining about having tumor in one particular place, what is done is they use radiation therapy. They use this laser lights and they will target only the cancer cells present in that particular area, or tumor cells, making sure all the normal cells present there are not affected. Okay, laser is very specific. When they use laser light, they will target only the cancer cells and they will destroy the cancer cells. They will make sure that no normal cells which are present surrounding to the tumor are affected. So such therapy is known as radiation therapy. Here tumor cells are irradiated, that means radiation is sent. Okay, laser light is the only example given by me. They use radiation, different types of radiations, in order to kill the tumor cells lethally. Lethal means these radiations are poisonous to these tumor cells, taking proper care of the normal tissues surrounding to the tumor mass or tumor cells. The next type of treatment is chemotherapy. In chemotherapy, what the doctor will do is, instead of going for surgery and radiation therapy, several chemotherapeutic drugs are used to kill the cancerous cells. Some of these are specific for particular tumors. Okay, the doctor will suggest certain drugs or the tablets or injections. In the form of tablets and injections, they will inject these chemotherapeutic drugs. Drugs are nothing but medicines. Okay, the doctor will suggest certain chemotherapeutic drugs it could be in the form of tablets, it could be in the form of injection, it could be a intravenous entry. Okay, they are used to kill the cancerous cells. Some of these are specific for particular tumors. Okay, if a person is going with brain tumor, he will be given some kind of therapeutic drugs. If a person is going with some other type of tumor, he will be suggested with some other kind of the drugs. Majority of the drugs have side effects like hair loss, anemia, etc. You know this information. People who are taking treatment for cancer that took chemotherapy, they will have side effects like hair loss, anemia, tiredness, etc. The last treatment technique is immunotherapy. Immunotherapy is the patient will be given these substances called as alpha interferon. When this alpha interferons are given to the person who is having cancer, it will activate its immune system and helps in destroying the tumor. In immunotherapy, what is done is the person's immune system itself is boosted. Okay, how do we boost it? By giving substances like alpha interferons. When we give substances, I have mentioned this interferons while talking about cytokine barriers, try to recall it. When such type of substances are given to the person's body, it will increase or it will develop the person's immune system, and the person's immune system will fight against the tumor cells. Okay, so these are the different types of treatments that should be given to our cancer patients. I hope this topic is clear to you. With this, we are completing the topic cancer.